What's going on? My name is Amy. Welcome to the channel. I am in month 6 of day trading, about to hit month 7th here into June. And today I am going to share the recap of the nice trading day that I had, and I'm sure many other traders got to share in this with me. Just a real quick, backstory. I've been day trading for 6 months. I only do stocks. I don't do futures or crypto or any of that stuff for day trading. I was a long-term investor since opened a 401k way back in the day, like 2006. But I actually got into trading more so in 2012. And then I was just like the buy and hold person. And then end of last year, just decided to do day trading as, this is my thing. This is what I really, really want to do. And so it's been an interesting journey. If you're new to the channel, feel free to check out my day trading resources down below. It's a free Google document where I put all the stuff that I feel like has helped me thus far on this journey of day trading, books, videos, people I follow, things like that. Most specifically right now, what has been working? Because this is Amy's 4th green trading day, and it's been spread over 11 days. Now, granted, there was some days in between where either I didn't take a trade, I took a day off, we had a holiday. Actually, last week, if I'm not mistaken, I think I only traded twice. Yeah, I took Friday off and I took no trades on Tuesday. and I took Wednesday off. So yeah, it's been interesting though. It's weird seeing my P&L like green for the last 11 days, whatever, because it goes back to the 16th that it's been green. And I've just made conscious decisions on certain days where I was like, it feels right or it doesn't feel right to trade, and it's kept me in the green. I don't know. But there's some things working, I believe, for my trades. And first I'm gonna recap what happened today for Tuesday, and then I'll get into what's working and why I think it's working. So another green day. I traded, as you can guess, if you are a fan of Ross Cameron or you like to trade low float stocks, SBET, S-B-E-T. This thing was just on a tear. And I definitely was feeling like last week I wanted to increase my share size. I wanted to go from trading my tiny position share sizes of like 2 to 5 shares. I wanted to go to 10. And this was the most obvious stock today. And during the pre-market, I'm watching, I'm missing some of the moves, I'm feeling a little bit of FOMO, and I was like, I just don't want to jump in, crazy top and then it flushes or something. There's just been so many pop and drop stocks like this lately that I was like, we're gonna play this really just smart, risk management, keep it tight, play it smart. So when I finally decided, okay, yes, I'm gonna keep my eyes on this one and I'm probably gonna end up getting into a trade for it, I decided to stick with my 2 shares because the average true range on this stock in the 1-minute candles, which I like to look at a 1-minute chart, 5-minute chart, and a 10-second chart. The 10-second is really just kind of to help me see like pullbacks and, potential warning signs and things. I'm really more often entering on the 1-minute. And actually, I take that back on the 5-minute. Today, I was really looking at the 2 minutes instead of the 5-minute because this stock was just moving so fast. And I decided, I don't feel confident jumping in on a new size position with a very volatile stock that's fluctuating in the 1-minute candles anywhere from on the low end, $1, on the high end, could be like $3. And, if I put myself at risk of, increasing my share size all of a sudden on this volatile stock, guess what? That means I'm increasing, potential loss here. So I just decided, let's just keep it at 2 because I feel more confident about that. And I think trading, to really make progress, you have to be confident in what you're doing. If you're jumping into trades where you're not confident, more often than not, something bad is probably going to happen. You might win that trade, but you might be creating some sort of habit that you shouldn't be and reinforcing that habit. And then there might come a time where you just literally just freeze like a deer in headlights because you're not confident, right? So finally, I said, let's wait for the opening bell. Let's see where the stock goes because it was so far away from where it had started at like $10 a share. I think I initially started watching it somewhere around 23 and it's already up to like 30. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, is this thing just going to completely sell off at the open? Like, let's wait, let's find out. And it was 30 minutes after the open. What changed my thought process here of feeling FOMO, feeling like, okay, now's not a good time, I'm not confident yet, was I said, wait a minute, what has been working for the last 3 trades that I've taken that were all green? What was working? And I was like, oh yeah, I didn't care about the outcome. I said, I'm just here to have fun. I don't care, if it goes green, great. If it goes red, whatever. It's part of the deal, And that enabled me to just clear my head, think, of my strategy, my plan. And what I've been doing is I've been trading the criteria of stocks that Ross Cameron trades, where you're looking for something that's up 10% on the day, float is under 20 million, you've got 5 times the volume as normal, relative volume, things like that. And usually between prices of $2 and $20. In this case, the stock was at that price at one point today. And by the time I'm getting into it, it's above it, which was one of the reasons I reduced my share size. Not for lack of capital by any means, but for the fact that I said, I just want to minimize the risk here. If I win, awesome. If I don't, at least the risk is small. So what has been working strategy wise for me is instead of trying to jump into trades with lightning speed and jump out when you're green, before you take a loss or a flush, I have been setting up orders in Thinkorswim, bracket orders they're called. So because it was after the opening bell, I was able to set up a 3-way order today. Normally I'm setting up a 2-way, which is my buy limit order and then my sell take profit order. But today, because we had, it was past the open, I was like, well, I can actually set a stop loss. So I did a 3-way, and I have this custom saved as a template on my Thinkorswim dashboard so that I can quickly bring it up. What I have to change is the parameters of the prices. So what's kind of been, how I look at these stocks is, you're waiting for something that's moving and moving very fast. You don't get in there, right? Like Ross, his way is jumping in as things are, making new highs. What's been working for me is waiting and looking at the chart and saying, okay, where is the most likely place, if I was to jump in right this minute when the stock is surging, where is the most likely place that I will probably get stopped out? That becomes my entry point. And this has been the thinking I've had in place the last several trades. And I realize it's not infallible, like this isn't going to work all the freaking time, right? But it has the last 3 trades. So I was like, okay, this, it gives me peace of mind to have this sort of parameter of like, hey, if it comes down and meets me at my price and picks up my order and I get in the trade and I have, my stop and I know where I want to get out, I know where, if I get a profit or if I'm going for a loss, I know this stuff because I write it down. And then also, of course, having the bracket order, things are actually in place. So initially the stock moved like a whole $1 up before I was able to get in. And that was fine. I wasn't going to chase it. It made another move, like as I'm putting in my order and trying to just, fill things. And that's fine. This is part of the difference of the way he and I would trade. But I said, it's okay. This is still a stock in play. I'm still going to go for it. So I basically just sort of adjusted things. I said, okay, let's look at the 1-minute chart. Where would I get stopped out? Most likely trying to jump in as it's going up for a new high. And then I just adjusted that. And I said, because the volatile nature of this stock, I'm going to give myself a healthy stop. It was, let's see, what did I put my stop? So my entry point was 33.31 and I put my stop at 31.98 because psychologically I'm like, okay, 32 is probably the level here where you could get stopped out. Let's just drop it a few cents. And then I put my initial take profit at 36 because this stock had already had a high of day, I think close to 39, if not actually hitting 39. So I said, let's just give it some room. Like this would be like a 2-to-1 risk reward. And what I did before I actually hit enter on getting into this trade, right? So I've got everything set up, bracket order, ready to go, ready to click send. I'm watching the level 2 tape. And I just finished reading a book that really helped me. I'm gonna have to add it to my day trading resources down below. Oh, and feel free to come join Amy's Trading Tribe on Telegram. We were all talking about this stock today, trading together in that. Free to join down below. But the book it's all about level 2, and it's called Day Trading Momentum Level 2 and Reading the Tape by Robertus Ceponas, Ceponas. But that's the book. Just finished that over the weekend. And I said, you know what, before I enter this crazy stock here, let's just watch the level 2. Let's see like what's actually happening with the price action. So that's what I did. And kind of my go signal, this is kind of what worked for me on my last 1 or 2 trades when I was doing this and reading the time and sales, level 2 flying by, was seeing gaps, seeing things kind of jumping, where say it was at 32, then all of a sudden you see 32.25, 32.40, 32, you seeing like big gaps. That was kind of what was happening. Now, granted, the spread was a little wide on the stock. I think it, somewhere around 20 to 27 cents when I got in. But I was okay with that. I assessed the risk, knew where I was fine with. And when I saw it starting to kind of leap up towards my entry point, my ideal entry, and I think it was either right at it or I actually kind of preemptively hit buy. But it picked me up. So I get in at 33.31 for just 2 shares. And what was odd, and this threw me off a little bit, was I hear the software go ding, and then it goes ding again, and I'm like, wait, did I get in and out of the trade that fast? Like, it literally was just like a couple seconds apart from each other. And all I saw on Thinkorswim was a quick message where it said 1x something, 1x something. And for a second, I thought it sold like half my shares. Like maybe it hit the take profit or the stop, and half of it went through and the other half didn't. So I was a little bit confused, and it kind of just, like jolted me for a second. So I look at my P&L and I see I'm in the trade and it's green, and I'm like, well, okay, cool. Like it's working. And then I'm like, I think I'm still in for 2 shares. I was like kind of unsure. And the stock is moving very fast. And here is where I kind of felt like, just emotions sort of took over, and it was like, okay, you're green, get out. And instead of waiting, now granted, I got in at 33.31 and I was hoping for a take profit at 36. Instead of waiting for 36, and because I wasn't quite, I was thrown for a loop with the weird, the way the orders went through. What was happening there was Thinkorswim took up one of my share orders, and then they took another one. They weren't sold, they weren't bought at the exact same time. So that's why there was the 2 dings. And like I said, it just kind of threw me off a little bit. And I said, you know what? I'm looking at the chart, and I'm like, it's 35. Like, it's actually already moved that fast, moved $1, 60 some cents that quickly. This is a 1 minute I'm looking at. And something just kind of like triggered in me, and it was like, just sell, just get out and just sell. So I canceled my take profit order in my stop, which wasn't needed. And I just sold, and I mistakenly sold at the market. I should have sold at the bid. I don't know why I did that. It's just like, again, emotions took over for a minute, and I'm like, okay. So I get out at 35.11. And that was $1.80 profit per share. So I'm up $3.60 just buying two little measly shares of this, $30-some stock. And it was just, everything just happened so fast. And I'm like, okay, cool, and it was just very validating to, again, execute with my own methodology, my own strategy of like, hey, I like trading like Ross for these specific reasons of, stock selection and criteria, but me finding my own way of getting in and out of trades where I feel confident, I feel less, less like, emotions building up before the trade. Like, I was so calm getting into this trade. Like, I told myself I don't care. Like, I'm not worried about the outcome. Whatever happens, happens. Literally in my head, I'm like, I don't care. Like I just didn't. And it just made things just sort of flow, And I put, I was definitely feeling some emotions during the pre-market about this stock. And I'm glad that I didn't get into the trade when I was feeling those ways, because I think that would have messed things up. Getting myself to a point of just feeling like, who cares, right? two freaking shares. You know, I reduced my position size because again, I was gonna go for 10, and I was like, not on this stock, baby. You know, we're gonna just keep it simple here, and we're gonna go and grab those small greens if we can. And I'll show you guys the chart here. Robinhood charts is what I'm using. Because a lot of people ask, you know, what do you trade on that? No, I don't trade on Robinhood. I trade on Schwab's Thinkorswim. But Robinhood charts just look a million times better in my opinion. So that's what I'm actually watching on this monitor, and then I'm trading on this monitor. So you can see here what was interesting when I go back to screenshot this trade. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I literally got in and out almost at the highest point of the candle out and getting in at the lowest point of this candle. What was interesting was it was red. So if you look here, I've got my two pink lines. You can see the lowest line is touching the wick at the bottom there, the tail end. That's where it picked up my order. When it came down to that 33, 31 level, that's where it picked up my order. And it was just touching at that point the 20 EMA. So on my chart, I have 20 EMA, 9 EMA, the VWAP, and yeah, the MACD. MACD was open, yay. We had just had huge buying volume, which reading that book I just talked about, the level 2, you know, that was one of the things was like, you know, make sure you're seeing like people buying, people on the bid, right? So that was one of my go signals too. And there wasn't a lot of selling. Like you can kind of see if you just look down here below, big buying, and I'm getting in right here with just a little bit of selling. So that kind of worked perfect for my entry. And then I'm getting out at the top of this candle, which I don't even know if when I was in the trade, I guess it might have been green. See, right up in here is it going from 35. So I'm getting down here at 33 something. This candle moves $1.80 in a 1 minute candle, and I'm getting out at the top of it. And, you know, I could have, again, it was one of those things like you could have held on. I noticed that as soon as I got out of the trade, the price went down. So, you know, again, it is what it is. I think, actually, you know what? I think I might have been getting in on the wick just before because I'm thinking, oh yeah, this is where it's closing. So, but out at 35. And that was at 7 a.m. my time. So, yeah, that was a crazy little move. Like, actually, now that I'm looking at it, I think I got in on the doji. Yeah, sorry guys. I think I was pointing at the wrong one here, but I actually was probably getting in right on the this crazy doji. Like this doji went from 32.80 at the low all the way to 37. Wow. Yeah, and clearly I didn't get out that part, but great trade. Like for me, I was just happy. You know, I'm like $1.80. Like, you know, trading these low flow stocks, you're sometimes you're just happy if you get 20 cents a share win. Like $1.80, I'll take that all day long. You know, I'm looking at my P&L over the last 4 trades, just been trading small, two positions, you know, or excuse me, 2 shares per trade. And like, it's just refreshing to look at your overall stats for a time frame, and it's green. And it actually says 100%, you know, because every trade I've done, it's been green the last 4 trading sessions over the course of, you know, this 11-day period or whatever it's been. And it's taught me a lot about like patience, again, the caring, but not too much, like don't care too much. And the fact that I started to day trade because I wanted to have fun. So like, if this isn't fun for you, if you're just like super tense and tight and, you know, fearful of losing money constantly, like something is wrong, right? And I feel like the last few months, I've definitely been taking things way too seriously, and, you know, like, oh, I gotta learn this, I gotta get better, I gotta stop making mistakes, you know, beating myself up and all this stuff. And I've talked about that in other videos. It's like, no, I'm done with that. Like we're here to have fun. We're here to definitely turn this skill into a money-making opportunity, which it most definitely will be. But I'm here to put in the time, and I'm here to learn. But while I'm learning, while I'm going through this, I'm gonna freaking enjoy the process, okay? Because that's what this is all about. Like, if you aren't having fun and you aren't enjoying yourself doing it, hey, go pick something else that isn't so freaking, you know, risky and volatile. And you know, if your stomach is churning every time you get in a trade, it's like, okay, you got to take a step back here, right? And for me, that was kind of a little bit this morning, like I said, with the emotions. I was like, I got to reduce my share size, and I just have to have my plan, and tell myself, I don't care. Like, I'm going to get in. I don't freaking care. Like, it's funny how that works, because when you feel like that, you completely let go of attachment to the outcome. And what I've noticed for myself personally, if I am attached to the outcome, I'm going to try to make it happen. And when you try too hard, it's almost like you actually mess yourself up. So if you're not attached to the outcome, you're not going to over try. You're not going to like make mistakes that you shouldn't be making. I think it just kind of frees up your mental capacity to make decisions. Now, granted, once that weird like order went through where it bought one, then it bought another, like that did throw me off a little bit, but I think, I handled it okay. I didn't immediately like panic sell as soon as it happened. I was just like, wait, what happened? But assessed it, was like, okay, we're fine. Maybe I just get out while I'm ahead. That was kind of my thinking as I was getting out. So anyways, guys, that was today. Just decided to take the one trade. For me, it's become all about like, find what works for me. I don't need to exactly be like any other trader. I take what works and I discard what doesn't. And at some point down the road, sure, maybe I can trade more like Ross and just be like, click, 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 But right now, no. I like the way I've been trading, where I have, the idea of, okay, stop loss here, get in here when it's in a pullback, things like that. And I realized that, in certain cases, that for sure, that could go against you. Like that could totally, I could get in and think, oh, I'm getting in a pullback, and then it's like right before a flush or something. But that's why I have my stop. Whether it's mental or an actual stop, I've built enough trust with myself to know I'm going to get out when I say I'm going to get out, I think there's been times that I've looked at the chart, the candlesticks, I've looked at volume, and I've looked at level 2, and I've made that decision of like, do I actually get in here? Several times I'll have the order ready to go, but I won't click send because something tells me don't get in yet. And then I wait for that right opportune moment. So I think also it starts to become a little bit of trust your gut. And when you're watching level 2 and you see time in sales, I think it just gives you more of a pulse of what the market is actually doing and trying to tell you, versus only looking at charts, which is what I was doing before, which is a little bit of delayed information, right? Just a little bit. So anyways, guys, that's what's working for me. If you want to come trade live with us, come join Amy's Trading Tribe on Telegram. Like I said, free to join down below in the description or the comments. Check out my day trading resources. Like I said, I'm going to add this book that I mentioned in today's video to that, so you can check that out if you're interested. And that's pretty much all I got. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.